Welcome to our next edition of Strategy Spotlight. This video series will highlight blended learning strategies that you may wish to utilize in your classroom. Each month, we will focus on a different strategy and interview WCS staff members who are using the strategy to impact student learning. In today's Strategy Spotlight, we will be focusing on the blended learning strategy, reciprocal teaching. To learn more, check out the Going Bold School site and the page on reciprocal teaching. Today's session will feature a conversation between Andy Davis, Instructional Technology Curriculum Specialist, and Jamin McElrath, District Literacy Coach, about best practices and strategies for reciprocal teaching.
Hi, Jamin. Welcome to the Strategy Spotlight. We're so happy that you could join us today.
Hi, Andy. Good morning. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
So let's start off by just talking about reciprocal teaching as one of the strategies that Weston Kaznick focuses on in his book, Bold School. So while reciprocal teaching is not new, can you share with us a brief overview about what reciprocal teaching is for those of us who might need a refresher?
Yeah, sure. Well, reciprocal teaching is traditionally known as a close reading strategy, but personally, I think it's a foundational literacy skill that it's at the heart of all good teaching. I mean, as kind of an overview, it's this 4-step process where students will quickly scan a text, that they're given. They'll predict what's going to happen, either, as a portion of a novel or a passage on a test or a math problem or an article or something like that. And then they will predict what they think it's going to be about. Then they'll go through a process of clarifying unfamiliar words. And there's a strategy of vocab acquisition with that. And then they do the really, to me, I think the tough step is that questioning phase where they actually read the text. They're going to develop scaffolded questions that push higher level thinking. They'll spend time answering those questions in groups and then participating in a class discussion. And then they come up with the most significant questions. And then the last step, that 4th step, is the summarizing process where they condense the information, they reflect on it, and they choose those core takeaways.
How do you feel reciprocal teaching affects student learning across all subject areas?
Well, since all subject areas are going to have a text of some form, whether it's an article or a math word problem or a painting or a visual text, having a strategy that teaches students to break apart that text in some form, manage the pieces, that slow step-by-step process of taking ownership of the text so that they're incorporating it into their experience, I think is universal for every subject area.
So I'm a former fine arts teacher, and until I kind of reviewed this chapter again in Bold School, I didn't realize that this was a strategy that I also use, just like you said before, analyzing an artwork or a painting or something like that. So I totally agree that it can really impact across subject areas. How do you think reciprocal teaching strategies might look different in, say, maybe an elementary classroom versus a secondary classroom?
Depending on the lexile level of the students, I think those skills of reciprocal teaching should be practiced over a longer time frame, over several days, rather than trying to achieve that in 1 or 2 class periods. And I think an elementary teacher should start with something visual, like a painting or manipulative, before they move on to using complex text, right? You want to make the learning real to where the student is at that particular moment before you introduce a new text or a new, more complicated skill. I would imagine an elementary teacher having to practice each step in isolation before putting it all together, especially that questioning stage, and knowing how to ask different levels of questions is its own separate skill that I see still being taught in 9th and 10th grade classrooms. So in early elementary, I think the process needs to become second nature at a very early stage, and then introduce technology as a tool to help some of that heavy lifting for the teacher.
That's great. And just to reiterate that is one of the things that Weston says, especially with the blended piece of adding that technology. It's not just the tool for the tool's sake. It really is about choosing the right tool for the right strategy and not
Right.
overwhelming with the tech piece, right? Because then that
Right.
gets in the way of that strategy. So I love that. So Jamin, I just want to thank you for your time today. Thanks for helping us kind of clarify what reciprocal teaching is, how we can use it in our classrooms. And I just wanted to say thanks so much. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Yeah, I enjoyed the conversation. It's something near to my heart.
Kami is the WCS featured tool to support your use of the reciprocal teaching instructional strategy. Kami is available for all WCS teachers and integrates with our learning management system, Schoology. To learn more and to access templates used in this video, check out the Going Bold School site and the page called Reciprocal Teaching. Templates and images are available for use with Kami, Google Docs, Google Slides, and Schoology discussions.